Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this great world of ours. Today is July 23rd, 2026, and it is day 42 of my video challenge. So I was having a real difficult time coming up with something to talk about today. Or actually, I should say right now. Earlier in the day, specifically in the morning, I had a lot of things that were kind of bubbling in my brain. But the later it got in the day, that all seemed to have evaporated. And definitely that is a pattern I've seen where early in the day I have all my best thoughts, and as the day goes on, all of that, I don't know if they go away, but it certainly seems to settle down. So, uh, lesson for everybody: pay attention to how you are throughout the day and chart it over several weeks, and you will notice that you have a particular biorhythm. And yeah, I believe in biorhythms. I happen to be an early morning person. So I wake up early even when I don't want to, and I have all my best energy before noon. And then by about 2 o'clock, I'm starting to lose my wind, and by 4 o'clock, I'm done. And so, that's something that I just, need to understand about myself and accept about myself. And everybody has a different biorhythm. And it just really pays attention to pay attention to yours and to learn it really well. So I have my best creative moments early in the day, and that's when I should be doing creative things. And then, save kind of the drudge work for later on when I don't really need creativity. I just need to kind of do things. So I was struggling, and I saw this book laying near my desk, and I picked it up, and there's something called bibliomancy. Bibliomancy is when you sort of are looking for an answer. Maybe it's an answer to a specific question, or maybe it's just something in general. Like for me, I was like, I don't know what to talk about. And I opened up this book, and immediately my eyes fell upon this part that's highlighted here. And the highlighted part, it says, he learned the most important part of the language that all the world spoke. The language that everyone on earth was capable of understanding in their heart. It was love. Now, the interesting thing about that is that this is something that has just been on my mind lately. Um, and I don't even know how far to go back. Maybe, I could say today. Certainly it's been on my mind today, but it's been on my mind for the past several years, off and on. Right? This is something that part of my path of learning and growing is really coming into this space, and sort of shedding or going through these peeling back these layers, and onion layers and layers and layers and layers of love. And what does it mean? How does it feel? Um, and what I keep coming back to is sort of why not default to love. Um, we get into specific situations in life, and they get us all riled up, in sort of one way or another, in one direction or another. But when I'm calm and quiet and settled and centered, I just come back to love. There was that really amazing line in Ted Lasso where the football operations manager Higgins and one of the star football players were having a discussion about fathers, and the guy Higgins, the character, says this amazing line. And he says, I try to love my father for who he is and forgive him for who he's not. And I think that is just a great line to use with everyone in your life. Love them for who they are and try to forgive them for who they're not. Um, and that's not to say give everyone a blank check or a free pass, right? You know, you still have to have sort of boundaries, healthy boundaries, right? Uh, not not sort of absolute ultimatums, but healthy boundaries. But we all are just doing the best we can in life. We all make mistakes. Um, and at the end of the day, I don't want to spend my time and energy being mad, angry, upset, resentful. I just don't. I went to my high school reunion last September, September of last year, or maybe it was October. Maybe it was October. Anyway, right around that time. Um, and I had a difficult relationship with a lot of people there, and I don't think they realized it. I think a lot of people didn't realize that I had a difficult relationship with them, and that tells me years later, and much more knowledgeable and much more wise, that it's because that was because a big part of that was me. I didn't communicate. I didn't. A lot of that stuff was just stories in my head. It was based on my own fears and anxieties and you know expectations and things like that, and it really had nothing to do with them. Um, or it had very little to do with them. Some people, like there was this one guy, and I'm not going to say his name, but he was on the football team, and he was a real high energy kind of guy. Um, Maybe not that much of a deep thinker, kind of more balls than brains kind of guy. We all know that person. Um, and he sort of rode roughshod over a lot of people in high school. And I came face to face with him there, and we had a great conversation. And, I sort of really started to remember back about a lot of our interactions, and they were actually quite friendly. Um, and I had to really rethink a lot of just my whole perspective on that relationship. And I realized, yeah, a lot of that was just me. It was just me being awkward and shy and, all of that kind of stuff, right? Um, and sort of, you know, afraid to put myself out there. Um, and, I just kind of had to laugh at myself and be like, ah, geez, like so much of my high school existence was just the figment of my own imagination. And even, the kind of times where this guy, was rough around the edges. We'll say that. Just rough around the edges. I don't know. Who cares? Right? Like, who cares? I don't care anymore. Um, but what I do care about is just not holding on to those old resentments, those old ideas, any of that old negativity. And so I've really set myself a task, um, to try and be more mindful about just letting shit go. just letting it go and defaulting back to love, you know. Um, I've been told by a lot of people that I'm really good at seeing the silver linings and everything. And, at first I kind of was like, is that a bit of a backhanded compliment kind of a thing? And it kind of was, but also not really, right? Like it kind of was. And I could tell they were kind of like, but then they were also like, but honestly, that's kind of an awesome thing. So why not love, right? Why not? Why not default to love? He learned the most important part of the language that all the world spoke. The language that everyone on earth was capable of understanding in their heart. It was love. Why not love? And no, I don't believe that all you need is love. That's not true. You need a shelter and food and all that kind of good stuff, right? So you need to know how to make money, and you need to take care of yourself and your family and all of that stuff, right? So no, I don't believe in all you need is love. But why not love? When the dust settles and you can got a chance to kind of shake things off and let things go, why not love, right? And boundaries too, certainly, right? One of the things that I found was really funny when I was talking to, when I was listening to one of the stories of my friend's father, and he said that there was at one point, his marriage had been on the rocks for quite a while with his wife, and he said he told me, he said she she hugged me and looked into my eyes and said, I really do love you. And then he looked at me and he said, and she did. She loved me. And then he started laughing. He said, it's just that she just couldn't, she didn't like me. She couldn't stand me. And that's true. Like you can love people, but not like them, which sounds like a contradiction, but it's not. That's kind of just part of that, the boundary thing, or, but it's, it's to have that compassion that we're all just trying to do our best. And to the extent where, let's say nobody gets hurt, I want to really try my best to let old stuff go and not hold on to it and just see people for who they are, which is, somebody just like me bumbling through this world trying to do the best we can. And so, why not love? Anyway, that is it for today. If you are still with me, please consider hitting the like button. It's free for you and it helps me more than you know. And please always remember, you are more loved than you know and far more valuable than you can imagine. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.